Welcome to the third episode of the World's Beautiful Game podcast. I'm your host, Goose, alongside Will, our other co-host. We're gonna
Hello.
we're gonna talk a lot about the Premier League action that occurred after the international break. There was some juicy games on the line that happened this weekend, most notably one in England, the other one being in Germany, which had some implications for the title races. And we're going to discuss how those went. How was your weekend, Will? How did you see the games this weekend?
It was good. Definitely got a lot of football action in, and it was definitely some interesting matches, some boring matches, some frustrating matches. But overall, that's the way the game is. So good to see. Good to see the leagues back in action. I love international break, but for the most part, you're only really watching a couple of teams. Well, it's growing more and more, but Premier League is what we love, so that's what we're waiting for.
Yes, we were. There was definitely the spiciest game of the weekend for the EPL, of course, was Arsenal City. Before we get into Arsenal City, though, we are going to talk about the game that occurred before that, which was way more exciting than the game that happened afterwards. But yeah, we first watched the Liverpool Brighton game, which I thought was not going to be as intense as it was, but Liverpool obviously has a lot on the line as well, and maybe they saw this opponent a little bit easier and decided that this was a game that they needed to really take by the horns because they were Diaz was on. Looked like he was on fire, bringing on that form from the international break. And Salah, I saw, was definitely involved quite a bit in the game as well. The first thing that happened was our boy Welbeck, ex-United player, on a broken play, scoring a golazo from I think it was outside the box, which got Brighton the lead early, which was nice. Then from there on, Liverpool started pounding, and then obviously got back into the game and even went ahead with the Salah goal off of that beautiful. I don't know if you saw the. Did you? I don't know if you watched the highlights of the game, but that from Soboslai to McAllister to Salah, the touches, man, the difference between them professional players and when we play, it's crazy to see. Soboslai, a zip of a pass to McAllister, and he just feathered it down and just took a look up, saw Salah, and gave him a zip pass as well. They make it look so easy, and then he just slotted it with his left foot home. I don't know how much of that you saw.
Yeah. I watched the entire highlights. I did. I was watching part of the game, but then I stopped watching it. But I watched the entirety of the highlights, and yeah, it was an exciting start because I'm sure Liverpool weren't expecting that first goal. Welbeck, of course, he's been in the league for what? I mean, I know he was in United for like about 11 years or whatnot,
It
or he's
feels
been
like
in the league for 11 years.
at this point.
So he's played for a long time. They definitely they they pushed it. After that, it was pretty much game over. Liverpool literally started attacking, and it was it was game over for Brighton. They didn't really have much of a response. They had a couple of opportunities that could have changed the game had they been lucky, but Liverpool dominated. They even had that offside goal that they called. That I didn't see an offside there. I mean, on top of I believe it was Danny Dunk. I saw his ass pretty much was keeping him onside. So
I guess
you
the
know,
ass doesn't count,
and
man.
yeah, I guess dude had a
I
dump
don't know
truck or
how.
something because he had that Sterling
It,
stance and he left him onside and it just didn't work. So
yeah, I saw. Speaking of that, I think it was on Instagram or one of the socials this morning that FIFA is considering making a change to the offside rule, where like the guy has to be completely over the passive defender in order for it to be offside, which I think is going to be a bold move, more towards the offensive side of soccer and allowing for more goals, which would be nice because to me, as much as I don't like Liverpool, I think I think you should have let that go, man. That was so close. Like those lines,
yeah, to
I,
me,
I don't
there's
know how
been
you don't do
multiple
that.
occasions. There's been multiple occasions and multiple games in other leagues around the world and in the Premier League where they they call those offsides, and I don't see an advantage of your hand being ahead of the defender. I don't see how you're going to score any better because your nose or your chin or your elbow or your knee
Or your
was
pubic
was
hair.
onside. Exactly. It just doesn't make sense to me how that's an advantage. So I think that rule needs to change, where it needs to be he needs to be clearly past the body fully, pretty much
There's no
gone at
advantage.
that point.
There's no advantage there, like none
I've never
whatsoever.
seen it. Never. Yes, it's always been a foolish call, regardless to me of what team, and obviously me vouching for Liverpool saying something. So therefore, yeah, I just think it's a dumb call, and it should have been left, and it should have been a goal.
I think
So it should have been a 3-1 victory.
the offside rule, along with the handball rule, is two of the probably the only things that need fixing in the game. Because almost everything else, I'm fine with, like errors from the ref, whatever, it's gonna happen, and we're not even gonna go into a VAR conversation because obviously it's a whole nother mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the outside rule, hopefully that changes because that would be nice to see more goals. I mean, I think it'll make the defenders have to study a little bit better and do things a little bit different, which would be nice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought that at least Diaz it should have been a goal. I mean, he perfect run, man. That was crazy, and the pass too from Salah. I hate fucking giving them credit. And
That's
that was
quality.
really
Yeah,
good.
absolutely, it's quality. I mean, they're that at that level. It's things that to us, it's like wow, like they pulled it off. But these guys, this is their job. This is what they do. And I've seen some quality passes when I've played, and if we can pull it off at the level that I played at, which wasn't anywhere close to the top where these guys play, these guys can definitely do it. And it's beautiful to see that it's just executed time in, time out.
And they
Because
make it look so easy, which is
yeah,
it's just
absolutely. So yeah, those passes. I'm not saying that they're not. Of course, they're definitely top level passes in their quality. Not everybody can pull them off, but yeah, they were just pinging them in there, and they were on point. They were ready. They were definitely ready to fight for that place. And with that, yeah, they just took first place again. So that was a good match for them to not fall asleep, because they could have easily gotten flustered with that first goal, but they kept their composure and they just started attacking and hammering back. So
I
well
mean,
done.
they're one of them teams fighting for that league title. So compared to the game that we're about to talk about, that game took the cake on Sunday compared to the Arsenal City game. Which, speaking of, I know I was trying to watch very intently, hoping for a dynamic game, and it was the worst game of the weekend. I think we talked about this in the group chat yesterday. Or obviously both teams are looking to pr- protect themselves is really what we were talking about, and I was saying how I'm more upset that they weren't more upset about not going for it. They were both. It was definitely a chess match where neither one was looking to attack. It just, even though they had moments, very few and far between, they weren't anything that was like, oh, they're gonna score. Like it was a bore fest. I saw so many memes of people like sleeping, or I posted some on our TikTok page of like putting it to put you to sleep. I was like, yeah, that's really. I wasted my 2 hours watching that game.
Yeah, as a non big fan of the game, it's easy to switch off. Of course, we're fans, so sadly we'll stick throughout and watch that game.
The whole
Uh, it leaves me. I don't really have too much words for it, other than it was a strategic game. They were sitting back. They weren't trying to press too much. Of course, they're going to try to take their chances, but nobody was really being too creative. There was nobody that stood out. They were just they were both afraid. Arsenal, I think, was probably more afraid, so they were definitely trying to hold them off as much as possible, because they're trying to win this league. Finally, it's been a long time. I think Arsenal themselves should have been more aggressive and not be scared, because if they want this league, go for it, and they should have gone for City, and City would have possibly gotten caught off, because they wouldn't have expected Arsenal to push as much, considering that they would have both been sitting back. So sadly, it was upsetting. It wasn't great. It was boring. It was tough to watch. It was hard to watch.
it
Definitely,
was
it
not one
definitely
for the
seemed
neutrals,
like
that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a game that was just, hey, we just got to play this, but 0-0 will do. But you still saw Pep after the match pissed off because they were still not making key passes. He was yelling at Grealish. He was definitely pissed off and still coaching him as if they were about to play another half. So
Like they were going extra time or something.
typical Pep, which is great. And naturally, the coaches never stop and they don't care what's going on. And with that old school mentality, because, yeah, these guys are too friendly nowadays during halftime, during the matches, after the match, they're already like cool. Back in the day, these guys didn't matter if they were best friends, but if they were still on that pitch, don't talk to me like I'm pissed off, and especially if I'm not beating you. Yeah, so
I mean, that's what's crazy though. Back in the day, they weren't friends. Now it's completely different. They take sportsmanship
absolutely.
a bit more serious, I guess, and being positive and not so negative. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I told you, as I said, I. There was a little scuffle between, I think it was Holland and Gabriel, and I'm not sure what was being said, but they looked like they were about to go at it, and then Pep came in between them, and I don't know what he said to Gabriel, but then all of a sudden they're like, "Good game," and I was like, "No, fuck that! Like, you should be fucking pissed, dude. Like,
this is the end of the season. I would have told him. I would have said
was it
some things that
9
probably
games
would have got
left,
me a
and now
fine.
City's down 3 points on Liverpool, like, and Arsenal's down 2 points."
2 points, yeah. So
And
now the
Holland should be mad at himself for missing that sitter, trying to pass it back to somebody in the six instead of just trying to smack it. He just missed the ball completely because he was caught between two minds. I don't know how that guy, that machine of a goal scorer, I get being unselfish in that moment because the angle was poor. But man, like, hit it at the goalie, make him make a save at least, put it on target, and maybe it bounces to somebody else. I mean, they're the king of scrap goals sometimes. I mean, they score great goals too, but they always find a way to win, and they could not handle the low block. I was laughing at Pep's post game interview because they asked him, about the Arsenal's strategy, basically, is with the low block, and he's like, yeah, basically we had to kill somebody to get in there because it was impossible to get through. And I mean, yeah, they didn't exactly park the bus, but they clogged the midfield. They made it difficult. Saliba and Gabriel kept Holland on 0 goals, 0 shots on target in the last 3 games. Apparently, it's a stat that came up, which is surprising, but maybe not surprising. I don't remember, or I'm trying to think whether or not Holland is a clutch player against the big teams. I know he dominates all the little teams, but I think even recently, in the last 3-4 games, I don't remember if he's scored a ton of goals. So it's interesting
so
that they're struggling.
it seems like they're definitely pundits have been talking more about it, and they're not happy with Holland. They're pretty much saying that he's almost at this point is almost starting to not be that hype player that everybody thought he was. He's not that striker that everyone was thinking he was because he's not showing up to big team against the big teams. He's not doing. He's not playing. I know he was injured for a bit and then he came back, but you can kind of even see it with international play. He doesn't really score any goals for his team, and they have a couple of decent players on that team. So Norway should be qualifying for the Euros and all these tournaments, and they're not able to. What's the reason? If you have Holland on your team, you should definitely be scoring some goals. But it seems like he's actually not as clutch and as cold blooded as everybody thinks he is, because it seems like he either gets nerves or he's just not as good as people. Because naturally, yeah, a lot of the goals you see, he doesn't score bangers, but you don't need to. As a striker, it doesn't matter if you score bangers or not. If you know where you're positioning, you know how to play. Chicharito is one of those players that just knew where to be at all times and score goals. He wouldn't score nasty goals, but he would score goals. Obviously, Holland is at a much higher level than that, but at this point, Alvarez is kind of is the one is created
And
more, has done a little more, and that's saying
and
something. If Holland's supposed to be the
he was on the
yeah,
bench all 90 minutes too.
exactly. So I don't know if I wouldn't say lack of fitness, just maybe he's just the confidence level's not there, and it's happening to come at the wrong time because it's towards the end of the season, and this
Yeah,
was a big
that's
match that would have made a statement that said, "Hey, I'm Holland, I'm here, I'm you don't." I'm not a big time player. Here, let me show you. And hey, we're going to take this league. So this kind of left the door open for the league to still see where this finishes. And yeah, it was definitely another reason for people to talk about him. I don't know yet. It's a season. It could be a bad season,
I
and
mean, there's
he'll
9
turn it
games left.
around. But
The
for
what
him,
I
as
would
far
say is my top 3 predictions are looking like shit now with City taking a dive there. Just to touch on Holland for me, I think part of it is the system because the way that I see it is the system's not set for him, and I've heard pundits talk about this, and this is why I mention it, is that he's a player that's a ball over the top, body the defender and one on one with the goalie, he's clutch. In space, he's clutch. It seems like even though he moves well in the box, it seems like he has a hard time figuring out this system and the movement of other players around him. And maybe they're crowding him too much. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't want to defend him. I don't, because he's getting paid a fuck ton of money to do what he does. And he scored so many goals against other teams, so obviously he knows how to do what he does. But yeah, confidence is obviously lacking. But maybe the system's getting to him now. I mean, I think at the beginning, teams probably had a hard time defending him because they hadn't been up against him yet. And maybe now we're getting to the point where they're like, okay, we know what to do. In this case, it seems like Saliba and Gabriel understand how to work together to keep him off the score sheet and even from scoring or taking shots. So I don't know. Maybe, is it system? Is it him? Is it both? I mean, I would imagine that's something that is talked about quite a bit at City, but who knows? Who knows what the actual reasoning is behind it?
yeah, definitely. I'd see like if you had a Kun Agüero in there, that's a different player. See, the Kun Agüero could have played on that
Technical
team
ability.
easily because
Okay.
his ability to play, he knows how to play with the ball. He knows how to move around, and he doesn't have to just go chase. And he wasn't strong. He was strong, but he wasn't as strong as Holland is.
Strong
But he
enough.
knew how to move. So yeah, I agree. He's used to that ball, and Premier League teams adjust to it because last year when he came in his first season, he was just scoring and everything, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, yep, this guy's here and he's going to destroy." And then the following season, teams updated, and now he's not that big scary machine that everybody was because the
He's
Premier
a
League teams are
counter.
like,
He's a counter attack guy, is what he is. Like
yeah, he's
like
an aerial threat. He's a
yeah.
big guy. He's an aerial threat. He's a counter attacker. He's strong, but Premier League team players are pretty strong too. So they didn't. It looks to see like it's not phasing them anymore. Naturally, an Arsenal team who's top of the league and the defenders are like, okay, we're not scared of you. No, we're not going to back down. We've faced strong players. We've faced strong opponents. So it looks like he's either got to make adjustments or they need to figure out what they're going to do because
Yeah,
maybe
because
cash
that's
out on him because there's plenty of strikers that they can find. There's not a lot of big names right now, but there's a players that will fit that system that will be able to play and move around and do what they need to score more goals. Yeah, because right now Holland is not a guy you can really depend on to say, hey, is he going to give us a goal this week or is he going to contribute? What is he trying to do? Like you said, passing off the ball when he should have shot. If he's the deadly machine. Why is he passing off the ball? Take a shot, cough up a rebound, do something. Because I mean, Raya's been playing well, so you can't say that the keeper's not bad, is not
no,
good. But still, I would.
there was nothing that was like unstoppable. Like everything
Yeah,
that Raya had to deal with was minimal. So,
yeah.
but I mean, maybe he'll go to United. I wish that would be great, but that's never gonna happen. And speaking of United, we're just gonna briefly
Oh boy,
mention how pretty shitty they were this weekend. The team that has
understatement.
been disappointing us all season after a better year last year, another blown game.
A
How
lucky
how
game.
how you score in the 96th minute and then give up a goal a minute and a half later is incredible. But that's part of the stats they say. You're most vulnerable 5 minutes after you score a goal. After you score a goal, they literally it's exactly what they did. It
Yeah.
was so hard to watch.
Yeah, Wisa was dominating. Wisa was pretty much having his way with United. We got lucky. Onana has been stepping it up again. I'm not a big fan of him, man. I hate ever
I
giving the
was
guy
I
props
was
because
cracking up because he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, I hate giving him props. Like I said, I don't like him, but he's stepping up, which is sad. The fact that now you finally have him stepping up and playing, looking a little more like a goalkeeper. I guess the coaches are doing a good job at teaching him how to dive better and actually reading the ball a little better. So he did what he could, and we had Mason Mount, who hasn't played him forever, come in and score a goal towards the end, and we couldn't keep the lead. It was literally like, hey, I saw it coming as soon as that kickoff and they started pressing. I was like, oh boy, here we go. And sure enough, but we should have lost that game. Honestly, we didn't deserve that.
Oh
win.
no, I mean
We
United
didn't
got
deserve a
dominated.
tie. Yeah, the United just played god awful. They didn't
Lost
deserve
two
anything.
defenders again, losing defenders, bringing on Licha probably on a game he shouldn't have had to play just so he can keep recovering. But yeah, Tony and Wisa were just bullying the United defenders, which is crazy.
31 shots against United. Like, are you kidding? 31 shots.
That's
That is
it's like middle school soccer.
How? No, but that's like against a big team against a little team. Fine, but
Well,
you're supposed to be the big team. Like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding?
Like they're
It
trying to
was
get to Champions League and United's fighting for relegation. That's literally what it looks like.
exactly. It literally it was disgusting. I have nothing more to say about it. I don't want to
Yeah,
talk about it anymore.
I don't even want
Piss me
to
off.
keep going there either. But the other game that I looked at that was kind of interesting was Burnley. Well, we're going into the bottom teams that are fighting for relegation or to not be relegated. Burnley being one of them. Vincent Company trying his hardest to keep that team up. He's really, I feel like he's like all their dads or something. I don't know, but they got 2 reds. He got a red, and they held on 2-2 to save a point, which is big at this point in the season for those bottom teams, which is crazy. So that was a big point. I don't know.
It was just one red. Just one red. It was one red and then a red for Company. So it was only.
Maybe they
yeah.
put the 2 on the board, one for him as
and Company, yeah. But that game to me was an exciting game. It was pretty back and forth.
Those games are gonna be that. That's what I like about this part of the season, man. And we're talking about strength of schedule for the 3 teams that are fighting for the race. Like these games with these bottom teams, man, they're fighting for money, man. They're fighting for their lives. It's crazy.
Burnley pushed. I don't think that it was a red card, anyways. I don't think the second call. I don't think was a foul. Mudryk went down. He definitely. I didn't see it as a foul, much less a yellow. But
what Chelsea
Palmer
does nowadays to get a.
That's fine. Palmer looked great. Palmer was very involved from the beginning. Obviously, he had the penalty, but that second goal he scored, honestly, the only
showing his class. Yeah,
that was the only highlights for me for Chelsea as far as players. I didn't see anybody else really look good, but Palmer and Mudryk, they both looked. They were both on point. They were both pushing. They were both playing well. It was smart for them to not start Sterling and put him in. So it looked good.
I love how. Don't you love how? And obviously we're United guys, as we've said, but where's all that Mudryk shit talk? Like it died down probably 10 weeks ago. Why are we still not bashing that signing, who was also a lot of money, who has done absolutely nothing for Chelsea, a big club itself? But
because it's still not the prestige. It's still not United. United are pretty much on par with Real Madrid and Barcelona. So therefore, Chelsea, yes, they've won. They started to have history once they bought their victories with Mourinho, but they're still not the same. United have been going for how long now? So of course people really hate them, and they're never going to stop hating them. So therefore, it's not going to be the same. He's stepping up as much as he can for that team, because that team obviously they're down bad, but they're playing well.
He's supposed to be this amazing player, and I haven't seen much of that.
They should have won the game, and Chelsea gave it up because their keeper made a horrible mistake. I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know why he's trying to catch it. I mean, if I'm trying to catch that header, it's because I'm trying to be disrespectful to tell you, your header is nothing. But I'm gonna make sure I do it, because I would have kicked him myself. If he was on my team, I would have probably walked next to him and just like kicked him while he was on the floor. Like, are you fucking kidding? Did you really just do that? like we had the game won, and you just gifted it to Burnley. So
Um,
it helped Burnley, but that was horrible. That was a horrible mistake. That
yeah,
was that
the big
pressure, the momentum that Chelsea had going, that it should have easily won the game, and then he just comes and does that. It's just like,
a shock. I mean,
seriously.
This Chelsea team is what, in 12th, 14th? I don't even know what place they're in anymore. They're close to
No,
relegation somewhere. I think it's 14th.
they're 11th. They're in 11th.
Oh, okay. Wow,
Yeah.
they're ahead of Brighton. That's interesting.
No,
Um,
Brand's in ninth.
oh no,
Brand's
I'm
in ninth.
thinking, I'm thinking, no, I'm thinking Fulham 14th. I was thinking about
Yeah,
last week.
full. Yeah, but that's
Um,
well, tables have changed now from that.
from this weekend,
But
yeah.
mhm.
Luton Town. I think we're all cheering for him, but they couldn't hold on against Spurs. I mean, when you got Son on that team, even though that team doesn't win generally anything, they do have their moments where they step up. I mean, Sonny definitely is taking over the reins there as the guy, and he's definitely clutch when he needs to be.
Tae
I I
Chong, Tae
I
Chong with the assists.
I
Barkley.
know, yeah, but you know, it's a team that you hope to stay up, but I think they're gonna wind up, unfortunately, crap them out at the bottom. They're gonna be one of the bottom three at the end. And then
Yeah,
the other game that was notable for me, well, there was a couple other in the games, but Nottingham Forest, Gio coming on, making an appearance, which is nice, 30 minutes. I hate to do this because we're American, but he immediately had the touch to Gibbs White, crossed it for the goal. So he was involved immediately off the bench to help them tie the game, which is nice. Other
I
than
wouldn't say
that,
hate. I mean, it showed. Hey, like, what's the reason why he wasn't playing? He played these two games. I guess there was enough noise and enough like, hey, he just played well for the United States. He made an immediate impact when he played for them. Why on earth has he not played any games? Well, barely any few minutes. And now all of a sudden he plays, and guess what? He was involved yet again. So
hmm
therefore, it
hmm
still begs to that question: do they not like him because of the issues he had with Berhalter from the beginning, and then when he started going, they started holding that against him, even if he wasn't doing that at his clubs, and
or
they're
is it
just
because he's
still holding it
American?
against him. But yeah, it could be, but yeah, well, at least I wouldn't have gone to the Premier League. I would have probably tried to go to the Spanish league, Italian league, French league, give him a chance because look at Pulisic in Italy. They're giving him his time. He's playing. He's starting. And Musso,
Well,
he was on and off. So
I'll say this though. I mean, if in these last 9 games, because of what just happened this weekend, he gets more. Well, last week, this weekend, and moving forward, he starts playing more, and if he helps this team stay up, because right now they're one place above the relegation zone because of that point they just got this weekend. So I am hoping that really like helps his case because he's going to go back to Dortmund at the end of the season. I mean, there's still he still needs to figure out what the hell he wants to do because he still needs to figure out how to work his way into the Dortmund lineup next season if he's going to go back, unless he decides to go elsewhere. But I mean, he
yeah,
needs for him like a lot for Nottingham Forest. You know, it would be great if he helps them stay up because that would be great too for for us to cheer him on. That'd be awesome. Another game, another team to root for in the Premier League. But for him and his stock for when he goes back to Dortmund, I wonder what's going to happen if
I
he
just
keeps
think he
up
needs
the
to.
performances.
I just think he needs to raise his stock, go back to Dortmund, and look elsewhere. Just fine. Go ahead and go to another team. Uh, right now, I don't think he can go to a top team. So go to a mid-tier team in another league. Maybe stay in Germany and go to the way Aronson's playing at Berlin
Berlin,
and do something like that. Which even Aronson hasn't been playing too hot, but that's just figure it out. But you can see a team like Leverkusen where not saying that he can fit into Leverkusen right now, but I'm saying there's a team that will start picking up, and if he's on that team and he starts doing well, it'll just help him out. But
I
I think
kind of
he
I
needs to
kind of would like to
show.
see him in La Liga because he's a touch player. He's a
I think
player.
so too. I
He
think our
can.
midfielders all need to go play in either Italy or Spain. I think that's where our midfield needs to go because that's where they will see a
We need
lot
to send our
more.
defenders to Italy and then all our offensive players to Spain is what I think
We
we need.
need defenders because we really don't have choices of choice defenders. We have a couple guys that we're like, okay, yeah, we know they're there, and okay, but that's all you can really say. Okay, uh, we had there's guys that, especially our center backs, our outside backs are looking better. Dest plays really well for the national team. So Robinson's been a revelation there. So he's definitely they're solid, and we know that they're going to be there. It's just our center backs that are just kind of like, hey, okay, cool, they're okay, but they're not doing too great. So
All right, let's not
we
get off
need
too
more.
topic with the U.S. because
Yes,
they weren't
yes,
even involved this
yeah,
weekend. We
yeah,
did that last
absolutely,
time.
exactly. But anyways, yes,
The other game that came up that I was disappointed with was West Ham had a 3-1 lead, and then they lost to Newcastle. Newcastle has like pieces. They don't have a team. They have pieces. Harvey Barnes off the bench scoring 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game to kill them. West Ham surprisingly has done decent this season, considering David Moyes is the coach. He's a mid-table guy, and he's above mid-table. They're actually right below United. They're creeping up on us. So I was surprised that they couldn't hold off with that depleted Newcastle team. But big ups to Newcastle for getting through all those injuries and still pulling out results. I mean, I know they're struggling, so this was probably a big result for them to get.
Yeah, I wasn't frustrated. It was exciting to watch. Again, they're both behind us, so it's hard to say who you wanted to win.
As Klopp said, we want both of them to lose.
Pretty much exactly. But yeah, that was a very interesting game. Newcastle, there was a clumsy penalty in the beginning. That PK to give away was clumsy, but it was a back and forth match, and then that 10 minutes of stoppage time in the first was insane. That's a lot of stoppage time.
Well, they had overall, I think, like 25.
Oh, 18. It was 18 minutes. 18, 10 and 8 towards the end. 10 and 8, but yeah, 10 minutes in the stoppage. But West Ham took momentum into the second half from that first half, and they seemed like they were going to take this finish this game off up until the 70th minute. The 70th minute, and it was I believe they had scored a fourth goal, and it took forever for them to check that VAR to finally call it back. But after the 70th minute, Newcastle woke up, and it was just like it was almost kind of like, oh, we have a pretty decent team. Maybe we should play okay. And Isak did a pretty great job, and he put in the work, and
his penalties are crazy. You see how he kicks his penalties?
Confidence,
like basically. But damn, he's like right on the edge of the post. That's wild, man. Unsavable, obviously, but that's some confidence too. But yeah, Harvey Barnes. I mean, he's another player that should be playing more.
Gordon,
he's not getting enough playing time. No, I know because Gordon's there, but he came in. I mean, he was good for when he was on Leicester. That was a good pickup for Newcastle. Yeah, need him in this time with all the players out. So yeah, I mean, it was nice to see him get a couple goals.
It was. I thought it was a great match. It was definitely back and forth, and it was definitely exciting to see that was one of the 2 matches that ended up in a goal fest, and it was good. It was good football overall. Just to see that you can't fall asleep at any moment because West Ham thought they had it taken away until pretty much, and then all of a sudden Newcastle's like, yeah, we're back.
I just forgot. I completely went over looking at my notes. We didn't talk about the Fulham game. That's the one that I was.
Yeah, I was. Sorry, I was waiting for it. I figured.
It was crazy.
It's all right.
That last goal, that bike, dude.
Not just the last goal, both goals, because
the Corporal Reed goal was good too outside the box.
Yeah,
that was
20 plus yards, 22, 23 yards out.
Another goal fest. They were losing 3-1, and Fulham, even though they're not I thought they were in a way better place than they were in the table, but that's another good result to get for them, not to lose the game. They were. I mean, that was another game where I was like, damn. And then Tim Ream's not playing, and Robinson is. He was
the second goal he tripped up, and that's how they wound up scoring. But the third goal, he just let him run through, and he had an open header, and he just looked lost. I don't know how he got a decent rating. He almost got a 7.0, 6.9.
Because it's because he's involved in the attack a lot, so that's why his rating goes up a bit more, even though they let up 3 goals.
Yeah. And the fact that Sheffield is the last place team, and that it was this close, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter what place they're in, because Fulham are well above it, well above the relegation zone, and they almost got a scare, and they pretty much gave away that match. I mean, Sheffield wasn't pretty much all the goals Sheffield scored. But yeah, they scored 2. Well, it was kind of going. Yeah. Yeah, all 3 goals are in the second half. Actually, the first half was pretty slow. There was a couple of close. It wasn't a slow match. The the first half was actually very exciting. There was just no goals, but there was a lot of close opportunities. A lot of hit a couple of posts. Paulinho was on it. Andreas was putting in a couple of good balls in there. So it was
But
definitely.
that's a player I wish we would have kept. Pereira. I don't.
He was too inconsistent for me.
Well, I
He was
know,
too inconsistent
I
for
know,
me.
but he left on his own accord because he didn't have a
Yeah,
contract.
I don't
That's
think he's a
fine.
big time player. I think he's better off playing where he's playing in smaller teams and filling in that role to feel he's a big fish in a small pond. I don't think he's a big fish in a big pond. So
Yeah,
he's better to
you're not wrong
play
about that.
better off playing there. So I think those teams fit him. I think he can, do well enough where he can bring them up. And just look at well, he left Crystal Palace now, but winger that's now is he in Turkey or we had him. He was one of our guys, and then we sold him.
Oh, Zaha.
Zaha, yes, Wilfred Zaha. He was a good player, but he didn't show up for the big team. They got rid
I
of him.
mean,
They sent him to
that's,
Palace. He was comfortable in Palace, and he never went to a
and
big
then
team again.
and then he
So
destroyed United in the Champions League. So
exactly. So it's just
or
like, whoa,
Europa
who
League.
the? Yeah, but then to be fair, United has still had a. We don't need to talk about it, anyways. But yeah, that was
11
an exciting
seasons of
game.
trash. Yeah, it
Exciting
was a
game.
good game. That was a good game.
Yeah,
I
the fourth
was
goal,
that
offsides.
one.
They had a fourth goal that was
Uh,
also
I know.
another offside. That was a controversial goal. So
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about referees, all that bar again. Let's not go into that. But every other game this weekend was exciting except for the game we thought was going to be exciting, which is nuts.
yeah,
And uh, quick note for U.S. men's national team players because we always are watching them or following them. Tyler Adams, 90 minutes for Bournemouth, which is great after his limitation with the U.S. Now I almost wish he would have played the whole game against Mexico just to have him in there because I mean he's a dog. He's that
yeah.
I would have liked to see him in there, but the whole time. But I mean he did his thing, and I'm glad to see him. He got his place back. He ran for 90 minutes and Bournemouth got that victory. Another one was Balogun. You just watched the highlights recently right before we started this, and um, a confidence booster for Balogun because for the U.S. national team, he looked like shit. Just he's having a hard time fitting in with
Finding
the
his
team.
feet. He's
Yeah,
finding his feet.
but he
Identity.
came in late, 2 goals, pressured the keeper on the first one. The keeper tried to back heel pass to the defender on the left, and Balogun was right on top of him and just deflected it into the goal. And then his second goal on a corner kick, someone chipped the ball on the someone headed the ball, and he was there, made the right move and put it in the net. And that was the only other notable ones around for the U.S. that were playing this weekend because I didn't see anyone else making a splash, which is fine.
No,
But
they're just.
but seeing one of our strikers score goals is nice, and then seeing Tyler Adams, our captain, back basically, because he's gonna be captain now that he's back with the U.S. national team. So that was great to see. And then another big game, and this is outside of the EPL, the Klassiker, Dortmund against Bayern, where Kane continues to just lose out on them trophies.
He's a great player. He's just cursed, that man. He just
I
can't.
actually I'm a big fan of Harry Kane, huge fan of Harry Kane, and it really just sucks to see him in that situation, man. Like how do you go to a league where you're on the team that wins 11 seasons like in a row, what?
Yeah,
10 seasons in a row, and
somewhere around there. Yeah,
you're 13 points out of first place, and you
yeah.
lose, and then you lose the Classicer to Dortmund 2-0, who's in fourth, I think, because I think
I
it's.
mean, to be fair, I love watching Dortmund beat
I,
Bayern
I,
because
I do
it's
too because they steal their
David
players.
versus
Yeah,
Goliath. David versus Goliath. So it's definitely good to see the little team win in that league, and just to see them just go down even further. That they can't even get a trophy, can't lift a trophy, any type of trophy. So I mean, you got Champions League. I don't see them going far, but obviously they're already pretty far. But I don't see them going any further.
not with Tuchel. I mean, I did it with Chelsea, but
Yeah,
I don't. He seems to not have a handle on this team. I don't. Leroy Sané, I think, is scoreless now since like last year or something. There's a crazy stat that he hasn't scored in, I don't know, like I feel like they said November or September,
I
which is
don't.
crazy.
I don't like Tuchel. I don't think he's really done much anywhere besides Dortmund. And then once he left Dortmund, it just seems like it wasn't. He didn't do well. Chelsea's not doing well. Bayern, I just think he's a.
He just seems to
I
piss
don't know.
players off, which is
Yeah, it seems like he's got something that he's got that is not meshing well with because yeah, the fact that Bayern's still a pretty stacked team, so for them to
I
to
think
go
it's his,
down the way they
I
did,
think it's his voice. It's too World War II voice, and
maybe
it
yeah,
probably shrieks in the ears of people. It's not very good.
something's off with the guy, but it's
He's too much of a
definitely
hard ass. It seems like he's not a player's coach, and not saying that you need to be, because obviously it seems coaches like Ancelotti. I was gonna say Conte, but he seems to be douchey too. Who's another big coach? Pep is a player's coach, even though he's a hard ass. Um, you know, it
yeah,
works in some
Zidane,
places, so it's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah,
I
it'll
don't know.
be it was good to see, and so it was good to see, but yeah,
I mean,
that's
it wasn't just the Dortmund beat Bayern, Leverkusen late winning it again. They're keeping that run going.
yeah. I watched
It's
that match. We were
crazy. They're like Fergie time now. They win all these late games, and they until the very end they are there, man. They don't stop.
And I'm
They are on it.
happy to see Xabi Alonso not going to Liverpool or Bayern. So he's staying with Bayern Munich. He's staying with Bayer Leverkusen. So it's beautiful to see that he's staying there and staying away from us for in the Premier League to cause havoc because I know he definitely can come in and he'd be a great replacement at Liverpool. So I'm glad he's not. And it
Yeah,
was
I'm
definitely a
hoping
great match.
still hoping Southgate goes Liverpool instead of United. I'm sure,
Yeah,
but
that was such a that match was very great. I was watching it and I was excited. Miguel told me he said, "Hey, we're doing a fan duel, I believe," and he was like, "Hey, should we put a bet on them?" It was already the second half, and they were down 1-0. He's like, "Do you think they'll win the match?" I was like, "Let's do it. I think they can. They've been doing it." And then Miguel's like, "Yeah, I think they're gonna do it." I was like, "All right."
aren't they
And then
still undefeated?
yeah, they're still undefeated. They pulled
That's
out. They came back
crazy,
and
man.
yeah,
God.
that was exciting. That was an
It was.
exciting game. That would be
I'm looking
great.
at my notes now. They scored in the 88th minute to tie, and then the
Yeah.
91st minute to win the game. That's
Yeah,
wild,
they
man.
had, I believe it was 6 or 8 minutes of extra time, but they took that momentum right away and they didn't care. They didn't need that much time.
Ooh,
So it was
I
definitely
kind of wish United would sign Wirtz. That dude looks good, man.
Wirtz looks good.
And yeah.
Frimpong
Well,
on the outside.
Frimpong, I feel like we've been tied to him several seasons and nothing's ever came of it. I don't know
Yeah, no,
who
but he's
those
looking
ties
great.
come
A
from.
lot of players. I think Weghorst is there as well. No, I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, and
Uh,
they got Grimaldi,
oh,
Grimaldo, They call Grimaldi. I'm thinking of
Grimaldo's been a
Kingston.
quality
But
player for years, so he's
you
definitely.
see that video of him taking like free kicks or like shooting from like the right side of the goal, and
Oh
it was
no.
on one of the social medias. So he kicks the ball, but he gives it some good up and down action, but right to the goalie. And then Xabi Alonso he just kind of like whispers at him or tells him something, and like to whip it more. Um,
Hmm.
my boy whips it right over the goal into the corner. I was like, damn.
Hmm.
I was like, my dude's having an effect, man. That's crazy.
My apologies. Veghorst is actually on half of mine, so he wasn't on that. It's Sheik that actually scored I believe he scored the
First goal.
game-winning goal. He scored the second goal. He scored the one to win it because Andrik, I believe, scored the first goal. So it was pretty much yes. Let me see. I'll pull it up right now. Yep, Sheik did score in the 90th. Yeah, and it was Nathan Tella that gave the assist. That whole team is just flowing. Like it's just the great. And then I was listening to the announcers because I haven't watched too much of it, but they're pretty much saying it's just not like one single player. It's all of them. One
Oh
week
yeah,
it's one of them. The other week
a
it's you don't
collective.
know
Yeah.
who's. They're all just playing well. So it was good to see. It was a good match.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened this weekend that was exciting, which is nice when especially when we get disappointed by a big game like the Arsenal City game. I, I love jumping around. I even tuned into a little bit of the Milan Fiorentina game, which was very back and forth. I don't know if you saw the highlights or watched that one, but Pulley and Musa came in the second half. They had a little one. They had a little 1v, not 1v1. They had a
And two.
give and go. Sorry, where Musa he was too late on the pass, and then Pulley 1-on-1 scored, but it was offside, which is nice. But good to see them still hitting the marks. Musa wasn't so good in the Nations League, but came on and played. Leao, I don't know what the goalie for Fiorentina was doing. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see the highlights of that match.
He got a through ball, Leao, and then the goalie just comes out, but like he just walks around him and just like puts it in the goal. I was like, all right, but he looks like Leao might have came out with an injury, which hopefully is not something that is for long term, because it looked like he had a knock, so that's why he came out. But that game was exciting. Fiorentina actually, they did score. It was a 2-1 game in the end, but Fiorentina, they were looking the more dangerous for quite a bit of the game, and then but then they outscored the game winning goal. So I mean, it was a good game to watch too, though.
A quick shout out to, because they're still in the fight too. I mean, maybe not to win the league, but Aston Villa won 2-0, so they're still keeping up. They're only a few points behind, so if City slack off even more, they can take over that third position.
Yeah, I don't even Villa out of nowhere, man.
Hey man,
that Diaby goal outside the box. Woo! Nobody
so.
pressed him though. So late to come out. I don't know if you saw the two defenders for Wolves. They're both looking at each other like they're both like
Wolves. Wolves have an identity crisis right now. I don't know what's going on. I think after all those Portuguese,
the left back is trying to score goals all the time. Ait Nori, I think is his last name. My man's always up top trying to score goals. Like I get it. You want to be Roberto Carlos, but maybe chill a little bit. Yeah. I mean, they did lose Neto. He's out to injury, so that one hurts.
The Wolves are definitely they're 1 point above Chelsea, so they're.
I'm surprised. I mean, they've given United crap all season too, so that's
any smaller team gives United crap because United. Yeah, we don't. Again, I don't even want to mention their name right now. I really hate them right now. It's hard. It's just hard to be a lifelong fan and just think anything good of them.
It's been 11 years of pain, man.
I have
after all those years of watching them pull out late game victories and all that success.
I don't want to talk about them. I don't even know why we're mentioning them. It's disgusting.
I know.
But yes, Barcelona struggled to win against Las Palmas. They
won. Got a red, right?
They won 1-0. The other team got a red, so it was and then Raul took care of business. So
Jude scored again, right?
I believe he assisted. I know he assisted. Did he score?
I think he's on 20 goals in the season and 10 assists, which is
no. He assisted to Rodrigo. He didn't score. Rodrigo scored both goals. Yeah, but it's that
as you guys can see, we don't watch La Liga too much. It's a bore fest, and there's only
a couple highlights.
Yeah,
it's not a full on bore fest because the smaller teams are very technical. They play beautiful. Sadly, they can't keep up with the big teams, and they don't have the stamina.
They'll
get pulled. Yeah,
I like Girona being up there, and then American on Mallorca is playing okay too. I think they're mid-table now. They came up a couple seasons ago and they've stayed up.
Yeah,
I would like to see Americans go to that team just because it's owned by I think Stu Holden and Steve Nash, and I forget who else are part of that group that own that team. So it's kind of cool. Kyle Martino may be involved.
Like I said, it's unfortunate because the big teams will pull these big time players from the small leagues for small teams, and then that's pretty much it. But as you pointed out to me the other day, the broadcasting differences, the millions of differences between the Premier League and
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right. It's what I don't even remember 600 million or 400 million to compare to 12 million, 20 million. I don't know.
La Liga was 70 million.
Not even close to 100 million. So it's a big disparity, which because it sucks to pretty much know that when the big teams are going to go up against a small team, it's not going to be pretty much a big fight. Besides anybody playing Barcelona, because Barcelona seem to be in an identity crisis right now as well.
I love the French league. Like, got one good team, maybe two. Yeah. 1.5.
German league, same thing.
Yeah.
Italian's been doing pretty well. Italian's getting actually pretty exciting because they're you got Juve, Inter, Milan.
Juve and Milan are coming back, and it's good to see those teams come back because those teams are full of legends for a long time. Even with all the drama in the Italian league and Juve getting dropped years ago for all that betting stuff or whatever, the penalty, the sanction they got. It's nice to see those teams coming back up. and it's also nice to see our American players being part of those teams. It's
Yeah.
great for us. Great for us that get to watch these games. I don't know how many subscriptions I have at this point. I think I have like 10 between Paramount Plus, Peacock. Just trying to support the boys, but it's what we love.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about this. That's why we started this podcast, so we can dig deep, or maybe not so deep, and just kind of catch as much as we can, and just enjoy talking about it.
And then and tomorrow we got some more action, right? There's the league the next week for the Premier League. The next week gets underway, so it'll be again. There's a couple highlights in the Premier League for me.
So today Monday. So I'll just so for the next one today Monday. We're recording this, and then we'll have a new game week starting tomorrow. So there's games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll let all those play out before we hopefully maybe record on Friday, so we can talk about those midweek games, and then there's the games on the weekend. I believe United Liverpool's coming up. I don't know if it's this weekend coming up, but I feel like it's about to be a 180 from that FA Cup game. So we'll see what happens there. But still, I mean, a lot on the line this middle week games, and then the weekend coming up as well.
I know Arsenal fans should be pulling for us on Sunday, because obviously that'll help them, because Arsenal is playing Brighton. So if we can take care of business,
a tough game. Brighton's a tough game. Like it's
but it's not Liverpool, so
it's not Liverpool. You're right.
Yeah, City got Crystal Palace, so that should be another cakewalk. But we'll talk about that.
But still, right now, my Arsenal not winning the league prediction's looking pretty good. So I'll take.
I want to say my Arsenal prediction is actually looking pretty good, because they didn't lose to City, and I said that was decided.
I know,
so we'll see.
Maybe coming from behind is better for them than being in front, because that's
what she said.
That's what that's what they failed at last season. But again, last season to this season is different. It's a different team, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's it for today. We've got no more to talk about. We ran out of stuff, but definitely keep watch. We'll have episodes as fast as we can get them out there. Episode 4 will hopefully be around the weekend, as we're watching the next week's games, the next weekend's games coming up. So keep an eye out. We're on iTunes, Spotify. I got us on iTunes. We're on Spotify, cool. Amazon, wherever you can listen to us. Just
we have Instagram now.
We have Instagram, TikTok.
So
same name.
We do have fans. Give us suggestions. Talk to us. You can let us know how we're doing. If you have anything you want us to talk about in the next episode, let us know. We'll gladly bring it up.
Yeah, and just it's same name at the World's Beautiful Game podcast. That's the name in all our profiles. So please like, subscribe, follow, share with your friends, people who you think might like to listen to what we got to say. So peace out, guys. Until next time.
All right, guys.